like you could have been like on Chica or something, not a gang boss.
Hey,
This
life,
is amazing.
Life has amazing twists.
I love that stuff, bro. Kill it. Have fun.
Thanks,
you.
Bro.
Bro.
Good afternoon. This is the most difficult part because when people normally have eaten, they normally do this thing called the siesta. It's like they just sleep. Okay, so I decided this evening, this afternoon, to wear a T-shirt that has Madiba. Because me and Madiba, we have something in common. We were both in prison. He was in prison for all the right reasons, and I was in prison for all the wrong ones. So my name is Welcome, as you spell welcome with the E at the end, like welcome home. So you know what I get when I go to the shop? I buy something, the lady at the counter looks at me and says, "You're welcome," and I say, "Yes, ma'am, I am." So life wasn't always like this. I didn't speak English like this. Ek het gesabella. Hoe lyk hulle my broer een en elk? Hulle maak vol boek aan my matambos. They say zana bloedrooi manskap kapadin. I used to speak like that. So the reason why I really had to change my life is because I had to ask myself a question. And the question I asked myself while I was in prison at Paulsmoor, which is one of the 5 most deadliest prisons in the world. I was 17 years old when I was sentenced, and I was sentenced to 23 years. Now, mind you, if you get sentenced in a South African prison, they normally look at the age. If he's 18, send him to a maximum. If he's 17, send him to juvenile. But because of the 200% full to capacity, they did not check, and they sent me to a maximum institution. So imagine as a 17-year-old boy stepping into that space, I had to ask myself a question: what am I going to do to survive this place? But to cut the long story short, let me tell you, I come from a community called Valhalla Park, which is on the outskirts of the Western Cape, beautiful Cape Flats community. And I grew up in a space where my father was never present. He was available, but never present. And sometimes as parents, we are present. But the question is, are you available? And my father believed that just giving me things would help. But it didn't. I was 12 years old when I was recruited by the gangs. 17 years old when I saw the inside of a cell. And as I was sitting in that cell, having to make a very difficult choice, a guy came up to me and said, "Welcome, I see potential in you." And when that guy said that he saw potential in me within a prison as big as Paulsmoor, I thought to myself, not once did my father ever say that he saw potential in me, but this gangster sees potential in me. And he said, "Welcome, the only way for you to make your mark in this prison, if you stab a correctional officer and get your first rank. Every star on your shoulder represents a life that you've taken. At the age of 25, while inside prison, I had 4 stars on both my shoulders, which made me the youngest general of the 28s. 2,500 men under my control. Yes, dynamites do come in small packages. You heard what my colleague Mandisa said. The tinier you are, the more you can fly. And as I was in that space, having to control 2,500 men, imagine how difficult it must be that all of these men are in this space because they've all done hideous crimes. They've done things that are unspeakable of, and they were uncontrollable. And there comes this 25-year-old. I had to muster and look at myself and ask myself this question: am I able to lead these 2,500 men, put them in order, and allow the prison to run like a well-oiled machine? And yes, within my management and CEO capacity as the leader of the 28 gangs, I had to look at my business ethics, understand that if you do not meet the deadline, it is a damn deadline. There was no putting the date behind. There was no saying, okay, give us one more day. No, if you come to me and says, "Listen here, did you make my money?" "Sorry, Welcome, I need one more day." Hello, Maf. So that's how it worked. I was ruthless, I was brutal in my approach as a gangster. And as I was sitting, and prison was my oyster. I was making 500,000 rand a month while sitting in prison from all types of products. Selling, solicitation of information, and doing whatever I could to survive the space. But as I was sitting outside, in the courtyard, these two guys were talking and they were joking about how they killed, how they raped, and how they did all of those things. And a question came to me, and the question was that if I were to be a father one day, what kind of father am I going to be? If I were to be a father, especially to a girl child, Usalek how am I going to be that father that my daughter can be proud of? It was at that moment that I decided that, you know what, I'm leaving this nonsense. And I stepped down. But stepping down from the 28 gangs is not an easy feat. And I had to get other generals to agree to let me go. The fact that I'm standing here is obvious. I survived. But let me tell you how I survived. You know, many, many years ago, as I entered prison, I did not understand what was going to happen and what was expected of me. But there was one guy sitting in the cell who could not read, who could not write. And this guy was struggling. I took this piece of paper from him and I asked him, can I read this for you? He said, yes. I read it for him. I said, you know what? Instead of just reading it, can I teach you? Because I'm here for 23 years. Let me teach you to read and write. He said, yes, I'm here for 15 years. I said, you know what? We've got time. For the next 6 months, I spent teaching him to read and write. After teaching him to read and write, obviously prison is not your master, you can't stay there. So they will basically send you from cell to cell, unit to unit, prison to prison. I was then at Pollsmoor and he was shipped away. And as these generals came into the room having to decide my fate, one of these generals that was there in the midst was this individual that I taught to read and write. He looked at me and he said, welcome. Because of the reason for you wanting to step back and not continue with this life, I get you, brother. And because you helped me 6 years ago, you taught me to read and write, I am going to do you a solid and give you an opportunity at a new life. So what am I saying? What I'm saying is this. One act of kindness saved my life. No matter what CEO you are, how powerful you are, what you do in the world, that will not save your life. Your big car, your fancy house, your high walls, those things are not anything compared to just helping someone, somewhere, somehow, in a very little way. Those things are the things that count the most. And what do we do today? Me and my daughter, as you can see, she's like this one that teaches me to be a Gen Z. While I know for a fact I'm a millennial, but I'm fine. And I have a beautiful daughter who sits there, who does all my social. She's like amazing. That's Tato there. And what I've come to realize, being the man that I am, and doing the work that I do. And today we run a foundation called Bright Spark Foundation, where we teach other young people that you do not have to be a product of your circumstances. You don't have to be a product of the community that you come out of. So I'm currently studying at Henley Business School. Hence it says Breaking Bad to Business Grad. Okay? So one of the things that I like about studying at Henley Business School is the fact that I can speak English like this. Imagine, bro. You know what? The English is just, So I'm happy that I can speak English. And so we work with young people that when they get out of the gangs, we recondition them and we send them back to school. We support them. We support their families. And we help them live productive and crime-free lives. And that is the work that we do. So like Nelson Mandela would say, that education is the most powerful weapon. There's nothing you cannot do. They can take anything away from you, but they cannot take away your education. And that is how I learned. But to know more about me, obviously you can go and Google Welcome Witbo, you'll find me there. Or you can meet me afterwards, you can have a nice conversation, because this story is baie lank. Side is story. En ngiyasikhuluma isiXhosa bayafuna isikhuluma kho ngxaki. Okay, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to me. Hope to see you soon.
Come here, bruh. Dude, I don't think we understand how powerful this is. What a huge jump it is. And this is all just based on like documentaries and things that I've seen. Because I'm fascinated in gang culture, but not like that. Because there's nothing that says, yeah, you are a potential gang member about me. But I'm fascinated, like, just by the order and the systems and all of those things. It's just crazy how it works, and exactly what you were saying, how they're able to lure you in and convince you, and then you just can't come out. Like, you hardly hear stories of people coming out, but for you to come out and go, no, man, like, my mission in life now is going to be I need to convert people. I need to get them out, even though you risk your life doing it. Because I can imagine that there are a lot of people out there who go, hey, bro, you can't. You're part of the code. You were part of the code. You can't go now, like, you're breaking our system. Why would you do that? So I don't think people realize that you literally put your life on the line by virtue of you speaking here today. Somebody sees this on social media and goes, why are you doing this? This is not what you're supposed to be doing. And I think you deserve a much bigger round of applause, because this is very brave, bro. This is a very brave thing that this bra is doing. Well done, bro. I'm so proud of you, man.
Thank you.
I'm so proud of you. Please keep doing what you're doing.